Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and today I'm showing you how to make my whole food plant-based Thanksgiving bean patties. These are perfect with a little bit of gravy on top to serve with any holiday feast. The written recipe will be linked in the details below the video, along with the other recipes that I shared in my Thanksgiving food prep video last year. And stick around till the end of this video for some tips on freezing these patties ahead of time so your Thanksgiving Day meal prep is as simple as possible. I'm starting by mixing up a flax egg. My recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed and 2 tablespoons of water. But I'm doubling the recipe today, so I'm mixing together 2 tablespoons of flax with a 1/4 cup of water, and I'll set that aside to let it thicken up. Next, I'm grabbing my biggest mixing bowl. This one is really probably a little overkill. If you're making the recipe as written, a regular large mixing bowl should be just fine. But since I'm doubling the recipe today, I'm using this giant bowl. In the mixing bowl, I'm going to mash some chickpeas and Great Northern beans. I find that a potato masher works best for this. You could also use a fork, though that will be a little more time consuming. Or you could even pulse the beans a few times in a food processor, but I hate to get another dish dirty if I don't have to. So I'm just using the potato masher. I want to make sure most of the beans are at least a little smashed, but if you still have a few whole beans, it's no big deal. You can spend as much or as little time mashing as you like to get the texture you prefer in your bean patties. By this point, you can see the flax egg has become gelatinous, so I'm going to add that into the mixing bowl along with all of my other ingredients. I've got some old-fashioned rolled oats, and then I have some cooked whole grains. I'm using a mixture of brown rice and sorghum. And this is square because we like to cook up big batches of this and freeze it in super cubes. So I just defrosted it and it's already measured out and ready for making bean patties. If you're not able to get sorghum, no worries, you can substitute with all rice instead. Or you could use other whole grains like farro or even whole oat groats. Next, I've got all my spices ready to go. Again, I'm doubling my recipe, but the exact measurements for one batch will be in the written recipe below the video. This is dried onion flakes, sage, thyme, granulated onion and garlic, parsley, rosemary, oregano, a salt substitute, and just a pinch of nutmeg and black pepper. Finally, we need to add a little bit of moisture to help hold these together. So I'm adding some stone ground mustard and a bit of lemon juice. Then start mixing until everything is evenly distributed and the mixture sticks together. I usually start with a spoon or a spatula, but really the best way to get this mixed is to roll up your sleeves and use your hands. This way you can also mash up any extra beans that didn't get smashed before. As you're mixing, if it seems too crumbly and it won't hold together well, you can simply add a little bit of water or vegetable broth until you can form it into patties. Only add a little bit at a time because if you add too much, the mixture will get too wet and gooey. So you'll probably only at most need to add a tablespoon or 2, if any. Whenever we're prepping for Thanksgiving, we usually have a container of vegetable broth open, but if you don't, a little bit of water is just fine instead. Then once it's all mixed up, it's time to form the patties. I like to use an ice cream scoop for this because then all of your patties are the same size, plus it makes it a lot easier. This scoop is about a 1/4 cup and makes the perfect size patties for me and my family. So I'll scoop them out onto my baking sheet. I'm using a silicone sheet, or you could use parchment paper. And once they're scooped out, I simply flatten them out into patties. I'm only going to do about half of this batch at first to bake right now. I'll show you what I'm doing with the rest of the batch in just a little bit. First, I'll put these into a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven and bake for about 20 minutes. After the first 20 minutes, carefully flip the patties. One of my favorite smells is all of those traditional Thanksgiving herbs and spices, and right now my whole house is filled with that delicious aroma. Once those are flipped, put them back in the oven and bake another 15 to 20 minutes or until they're nice and golden on the outside. While those are baking, let me show you another option. If you want to make your Thanksgiving Day stress-free, you can freeze these ahead of time and simply defrost and bake them on the holiday. You can either freeze the patties after they're baked and then just defrost and reheat in the oven, toaster oven, or air fryer, or even the microwave. But the pre-baked and frozen version can sometimes get a little dried out and crumbly. So my preferred version is to mix everything up and then freeze scoops of the unbaked mixture. Again, I'm using my ice cream scoop and I'm just leaving it in a ball this time. and I'll lay them out on a cookie sheet and put that right in the freezer. Once frozen solid, you can transfer them to a Ziploc bag or other freezer-safe container. Then, whenever you're ready to eat them, defrost the mixture, flatten them out, and bake as I showed before. Serve these along with your favorite Thanksgiving side dishes and top with your favorite gravy. We love Dr. McDougall's golden gravy recipe, which I've also linked to in my blog post below. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and you can check out my Thanksgiving meal prep video from last year here. Or for more delicious bean patty flavors, you can check out this video here. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.